In this video, we'll be taking a look at 2 college football games happening on September 22nd, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game. 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 2 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Boise State versus San Diego State. Boise State meets San Diego Stats in the first game of the Mountain West Conference slate on Friday, September 22nd. The Broncos have started the season with a 1-2 record after they secured their first win of the season against North Dakota last week. San Diego State holds a 2-2 record, but they are coming off of back-to-back losses leading into Friday's game. The Boise State Broncos finally managed to get in the win column after emerging with a 42-18 win over North Dakota in their last game. Taylon Green has thrown for 576 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions on 52.9% passing, while Ashton Jeanty has a team-high 202 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns. Eric McAllister has a team-high 15 grabs for 238 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Jeanty has 236 receiving yards with a pair of scores, and Stephen Cobbs has 131 receiving yards as well on the year. On defense, Marco Notareni has a team-high 20 total tackles with a pair of sacks, while Boise State's defense as a whole has 8 sacks and a pair of interceptions. The San Diego State Aztecs dropped their second straight game against a Pac-12 foe after a 26-9 loss to Oregon State last time out. Jalen Mayton has thrown for 701 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions on 60.3% passing, while also rushing for 193 yards and 2 scores. Jalen Armstead has a team-high 195 rushing yards with a pair of scores, and Kenan Christon has 126 rushing yards as well. Mark Redmond has a team-high 179 receiving yards on 16 receptions with a pair of touchdowns, while Mekhi Shaw has 104 receiving yards as well on the year. On defense, Cyrus Fiasu has a team-high 25 total tackles with a pair of sacks, while Cedarius Barfield has 3 interceptions. As a team, San Diego State's defense has 7 sacks and 8 interceptions this season. Both teams have 2 losses on their record coming into this game, but all those losses came against tough opponents. San Diego State has lost so far to UCLA and Oregon State, while Boise State has lost to Washington and a close one against UCF. Both teams have been battle-tested and are ready for conference play. If we just look at the month of September, the Aztecs have failed to cover the spread in the last 15 of 18 home game versus non-ranked opponents in the opening month of the season. This offense has started slow as they have struggled to finish drives in the end zone. I do like what I saw out of Boise State in their last game against North Dakota. The Broncos offense also started the season off slow, but they found a connection between quarterback Taylon Green and receiver Eric McAllister in Week 3. McAllister had 6 catches for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. I believe the Broncos will continue to build on this offensive outburst and continue to push the ball down the field against the Aztecs. The Boise State Broncos were voted to finish in first place in the Mountain West Conference in the preseason poll, and these are the type of road games they need to win if they want to be the best. These rivals met last season in a game Boise State won 35-13. Each squad has the same quarterback and running backs as last year. San Diego State has not looked good. They only beat Idaho State by 8 points, and the usually strong defense has been exploited after losing several key players. Furthermore, Boise State was able to generate a solid 244 passing yards against number 10 Washington in the opener. I mentioned that because the Aztecs secondary is having problems, especially guarding the pass. They are allowing an average of 291 passing yards per game, pegging them 121st in the country. San Diego State often relies on the running game but only managed 70 rushing yards on 2.1 yards per rush last week. Also, Aztecs quarterback Mayton has chucked 4 picks in his last 2 games. I get why it's a tempting look to take points with a home dog like San Diego State, but I haven't loved what I've seen from the Aztecs. I get it, it's against top teams like Oregon State and Corvallis and UCLA, but as bad as Boise State looked offensively against Washington and UCF, the defense played extremely well against UCF, and I think the Broncos' defense travels here. I'm not rushing to bet this one, but I believe that Boise State has more upside here, and I think the line is telling us where we need to be. Normally, I love the spot of an underdog home team getting 7 points, but I'm not loving the Aztecs on their home field. Boise State hasn't lost a conference game since November 26, 2021. And I don't believe that streak ends tonight. So the Boise State Broncos to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. These squads only opt for the pass in half their plays, so a lot of running will lead to longer drives. Boise State quarterback Talon Green rushed for 105 yards in the win against San Diego State last season, and he might opt for the run several times again in this year's meeting. Boise State isn't posting big numbers, scoring 19 and 16 points in their 2 games against football championship subdivision opponents. In addition, the Broncos' defense came up huge against a potent UCF offense in Week 2, allowing just 18 points, and conceded just 18 points in the victory last week. San Diego State has scored 20 or fewer points in 3 of their 4 games on the season. The only game they scored more than 20 was against a football championship subdivision opponent. The under is 4-1 in the Broncos' last 5 road games. It seems as though each team's offenses are just stuck in neutral. The high attack rate that each team usually shows, especially in the pass game, just is not there in the early portion of the season. With a tough conference game on Friday, I don't see either team's offense just lighting up the scoreboard. I expect scoring to be at a premium. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Air Force versus San Jose State. The Air Force Falcons make the trip to California to take on the San Jose State Spartans on Friday evening at Citizens Equity First Credit Union Stadium in a conference matchup. The Falcons will be hoping to remain undefeated on the season and in the Mountain West Conference, while the Spartans will be looking to build on their big victory in their home opener in Week 2. The Spartans won their last meeting with the Falcons, which came during the 2020 season at home. The Falcons kicked off their 2023 season with a blowout win over Robert Morris, posting 469 total yards in a 42-7 result. Air Force held the Colonials to just 156 total yards on the other side. In Game 2 versus Sam Houston, the Falcons had 244 rushing yards and held the Bearcats to just 80 on the other side in a 13-3 win. As for Game 3 versus Utah State, the Falcons started out hot. Air Force was up 32-7 by halftime and cruised in the second for a 39-21 win. Quarterback Zachary Larrier completed just 3 passes for 84 yards but also rushed for a touchdown. Owen Burke had 110 rush yards on 15 carries, while Emmanuel Mitchell added 106 rush yards with 3 scores. Over on the Spartans side, they've got 4 games in the tank so far. The first was a tough matchup versus USC in a 56-28 loss. Things didn't get much easier in Week 2 versus Oregon State in a 42-17 defeat. But San Jose State finally got a win over Cal Poly in their 3rd outing. The Spartans posted 472 total yards in a 59-3 blowout victory. Matched up against Toledo, San Jose State went into the break with a 3-point lead. The Spartans were outscored 14-7 in the second half and fell in a tough 121-17. Chevin Cordero had 228 yards with a score and a pick, while Kerr Robinson had 50 rush yards and a score. Nick Nash had 80 yards off 6 catches as well. The Spartans' offense struggled to run the football last week against Toledo and could have similar problems on the ground. The Falcons' linebackers moved well enough to make up for some of the defense's mismatches, particularly along the defensive line. Minus a complementary run game, Cordero will be forced into too many 3rd and longs that will result in an interception or 2. It would be nice to see more of a multi-dimensional attack from Air Force, but what they're doing is certainly working so far. The Falcons generated 428 yards of offense in the Utah State win, with 344 of those yards coming on the ground. Air Force was once again great at taking care of the football, posting 0 turnovers and 38-40 in time of possession. Considering San Jose State gave up 229 of Toledo's 321 total yards on the ground, this should be a solid opportunity for Air Force to do what they do best. Air Force will down San Jose State on the road this Friday with its brutal rushing attack, holding the football long enough to control the game clock. The Spartans allow nearly 175 rushing yards per game and won't be able to get enough pressure in the Falcons' backfield with their defensive front to make an impact. It's the winning recipe for Air Force, and it should be. This one will probably be competitive initially, but I think the Falcons will eventually take care of business. So the Air Force Falcons to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Only 23 points in total were scored when these two squads last met during the 2020 season. Air Force currently ranks first in the nation in average opponent yards per game allowed with 191. They also rank in the top 10 in average points allowed per game. The Falcons have gone under the point total in 4 of their previous 5 regular season games overall and 4 straight away from their home stadium. They have scored 13 points in each of their last 3 regular season games on the road, and the defense limited their opponent to 7 points or less in each of the 3 contests. Air Force went under the point total in 4 of 5 away games in 2022, and the trend seems to be continuing in 2023 as they went under and only 16 points were scored in total in their away matchup with the Sam Houston State Bearcats on September 9th. The Falcons understand they need to run the ball to score and do it effectively. They'll grind the game clock as well, beating San Jose by forcing Cordero and the rest of the offense to watch from the sidelines. It's an easy under as long as they accomplish that, despite the fact both teams average north of 30 points per game. With fewer possessions, San Jose State will be forced to speed things up, taking the ball out of the Spartan tailback's arms. This facet of the game dries up, making it easier for the Falcons' defensive backs to make a play on a Cordero throw. The under is 2-1 in Air Force games this season and should go to 3-1 after Friday night's Mountain West Conference showdown. Air Forces dominate defense, and the trend strongly suggests this matchup will be a lower scoring affair. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.